factor. Records that are made today have a combination of 70% roughly PVC, and then 30% remaining are records that were defects, including the label, that were chopped up and put back into the plastic. That's why we have different sounds of some records from the same plant but different pressings. And the worst was me growing up in the 70s and early 80s when we had the oil crisis. We had people like EMI, Capital, RCA saying, "George, how many Elvises in the back? 50,000. Bring them over," because the price of fuel went up, the price of plastic went up, so people using PVCs started to cheat a bit. That's why the records made in the 70s and early 80s sound horrible. Why? They had to put extra stabilizers into the puck that you just saw here to be able to make a record. Now, we can help because by our process, we stripped the release agent that was now a bad mix by taking it out. Those 99-cent K-Tel records in Canada sound miraculous. They had the worst plastic and now sound great because you're being affected by the release agent on the record. So to get back to why is this a $1,000 system or an $800 system? Why isn't this a $4,000 or $8,000 or $10,000 ultrasonic system?
Okay, so hold on a second. Yeah, because most record cleaning machines, the cheapest manual ones are $200-something, and most of them are start in at really $700. So this is $1,000, just a little bit more, and it's a completely different system.
Well, actually, those cleaning systems that are, $400, $500, $600, the manual ones basically coat your records. They cannot do any cleaning. Why? The record has a positive charge. I'm going to illustrate it by positives and negatives. The cleaning solution that these spin cleans at $99 and these Okinoki or whatever machines where you put this on a turntable and you put whatever concoction they're selling of the day on there, the groove of the record is repelling all of that because the charge of the liquid with the cleaner repels. So yes, you're doing a surface clean, but you're actually coating the record by drying the record either air dry or vacuum dry.
You're listening to the UnCommonCore podcast. Be a patron at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/UnCommonCore. Our Instagram is Instagram/UnCommonCore podcast.
So in our system, we've seen audiophiles go after the $5,000 model, like the Audio Desk, the $8,000 KL Audio. They've been around now for a dozen years. We discovered over 5 years that they do nothing. Why? The premise is an ultrasonic. I have water inside the tank, with or without some soap. I stick a record into the machine. The record turns around, and I have so-called ultrasonic bubbles that collapse or expand and create a wave. They cannot get into the grooves of the record because the liquid in the tank is the same charge as the record. So you do a surface clean, but the trouble is like with Michael Fremer's records, is he changes his water 3-4 months later per the manufacturer. If the water kind of evaporates, put in more distilled water. But when the record now is being dried, what is in the tank gets coated on the record. So you're actually building up a coating either by a vacuum system or all these other drying systems. So we've broken that down to the elements of charge. I worked on the space shuttle in '78. I manufacture Homeland Security using ultrasonics. We use an ionizing...
What do you mean you manufactured the space shuttle? It's in when?
In 1978, I worked on the space shuttle on the Canadarm. I was test integration technician up in Canada, in Montreal. So I did both the TDRSS, the TDRS satellites for communication, still used today. I was the final integration technician, and I was engineering technician on the space shuttle arm. So I worked in aerospace using sonics.
Okay, I believe you, because there's every few weeks on the New York subway, somebody tells me they worked on the space shuttle, so...
Maybe they've been sniffing something that we have in Colorado,
Okay, so how does this thing work?
What we've done, and I appreciate your time, what we try to do is we try to give your audience background information. So they say the proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what we do is we put a record in this machine and we let it spin for 2 minutes. We're like a regular ultrasonic, just distilled water inside. The record is repelling the water, but I'm using that to remove any kind of dirt or abrasive on the surface of the record. Once that's done, the record comes out of the machine, and I spray onto the record 12 o'clock position, 4 o'clock position, 8 o'clock position, our ionizing agent, which is behind you. And the ionizing agent, it's in a bottle. It's basically 99% distilled water with what we call 1% propanol, diol 1-2, which by me using a goat-haired brush, once this is being sprayed on the record, I am now pushing this into the grooves of the record. By doing this, I'm changing the charge of the record. It's now a negative. So I do that on both sides and put this in the machine. Now we have the cleaning process and restoration process starting. The wave, the plasma wave that is created by the cavitating bubble or the expanding bubble is now rubbing this agent into the grooves. So what we first are now doing is we're attracting. Remember, opposites attract, positives repel. Everyone in the industry, whether it's a vacuum system, a manual system, or an ultrasonic system, all the records repel the cleaning agent. We change the charge of the record, and for 5 minutes period of time, this is now running in the machine. We take this record out. The record comes out virtually dry. Everyone says, well, you don't dry the record? No, it comes out virtually dry. Why? It repels water. So when we take the record out, we apply another 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock position of this ionizing agent, do it on both sides, and put it back in the machine for a second cycle. What happens is we get that cleaning action again. The third time I take the record out and do the same thing, 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I now see a whitish paste start to appear.
Wait a minute. So how long into the process are you now? This is like the third step?
This is now the third 5 minute with the surfactant. Now what happens is we're doing processes here. The first 5 minutes is stripping out the cleaning agent you perhaps used on the record 20 years ago or yesterday. We remove that. Then the second and third start to remove the release agent with the contaminants that have been micro-welded into the groove of the record. So we do this repeatedly. 5 minutes in, apply surfactant, another 5 minutes in, apply surfactant, another 5 minutes in, until we no longer see a whitish material appear on the record or evaporate quickly. What does that mean? It means there's nothing else that's been softened that's in the grooves that I'm bringing up with this goat-haired brush. So that means that now the record is already dry coming out. I use an optician's cloth to remove the couple of droplets of water that's on the record. And then I polish the grooves with the felt that we provide you with, which is a resurrection of the felt made by Dr. Watts in England in 1971. He called it a parastatic disc preener. The 15 micron diameter felt size polishes now the 30 micron width groove, and the record is now restored. So this is not cleaning. I can keep a record in an ultrasonic for weeks and it will not remove the release agent because of the charge being the same. So that's our patent.
So you convinced me that this is you have to buy the whole system and go with the way it was designed, the way you just described it. Now, what about the maintenance on this, and what about the maintenance of your records over time?
Very good.
You're listening to the UnCommonCore podcast.
Okay, maintenance over time, once every 3-4 years, 2 minutes in the machine with the surfactant, that's it. There's nothing else to strip out because the release agent is no longer there. So that's the patent. We discovered there's a release agent on every record.
So that'll keep the record basically clean, and you could use a cloth or a record brush or whatever.
Carbon brush, whatever. That's the best way, and that's it. Every time before playing, use a carbon felt brush. It removes any dust particles that now don't get welded in the record. They get caught up in your stylus.
Okay, one last quick question, and this is kind of a silly question, but there's some people who don't have a huge record collection. They're just beginning to get into records, or there's people who, just they don't want to spend $1,000 on a record cleaning machine just yet because they only have like 200 or maybe even 20 records. Is there something that they can do to clean their record using the science that you just talked about?
Well, the issue is what does one consider a clean record? I mentioned Lynn Stanley just before. Brand new records have a release agent on them. And if we remove the release agent on a brand new record, we get 1.3 to 1.5 dB gain out of your cartridge. We have now actually touching exactly what the lacquer had. So if you are a real audiophile that has a nice system, and you don't have to have an expensive system, but a nice system, you will hear the change in timbre and the breadth of the music and the engineering expertise of the person that managed the board. So going back to your customer or friend or audiophile or whoever that has only 200 records in their collection, if they really want to truly benefit what they have out of their system, even if it's a $900 turntable with a 2,000...
Even if it's just a lowly, little, entry-level $900 turntable.
$900, $800, $500 turntable, you will hear the change. Even to the audiophile that has a lot of money, by spending $880, this will outperform the audiophile buying a $20,000 cartridge, a $10,000 tone arm, or a $45,000 turntable. You will see and hear the difference.
So you're saving like $30,000 even though you have $5.
Exactly, absolutely. And this gentleman here is proof where he has a record that he brought Total Fungus, and we will give him 3 to 5 dB gain out of this record on his turntable. And we guarantee this. So these used records that people buy, I suggest don't buy the new pressings. New pressings mostly are digitally mastered. If it says that, that comes out of an SACD. You buy only new records that are analog, pure, direct to disc, or from original tape. But I go and buy the $2, $5, $10 records that people sell, 25 cents each, even ones that are scratched. By me removing the release agent, now the needle sits properly in the groove and I don't hear the scratches on the record. Even 7 times out of 10, a skid mark of your tone arm going across the record, I will not hear the click every revolution. So that's our patent.
Back in the old days, they used to have like Keith Monk's record cleaning systems inside some of the audiophile stores, and people would pay $1. They would get a cleaned record. They would get a record sleeve.
Yes.
Are you planning on doing anything like that for those people who are just in the process of collecting their records for the first time?
Okay, well, first of all, those processes actually all coat the records, including...
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about putting yours in a record store and charging like maybe $1 or $2 or $5.
We have record dealers and we have audio dealers that have audio weekends where they invite customers to come in with their records, 20 customers maximum to restore the record. We have high-end, like Record Center in Ottawa. John Thompson is actually a producer of records, and he produces them direct to tape and then to disc or to vinyl. He will take customers' records and restore them, ones for a customer for a price or for free. Yes, the issue is to do it on a mass scale in a very busy store is difficult because you're going to do 3 5-minute sessions with a brand new pressing like Lynn Stanley's today, or with Anne Bisson's brand new record, 3 5-minute cycles, and with a record that's been cleaned by an audio desk at $5,000, a KL Audio at $10,000, a VPI, a Noki at whatever the prices are, they'll go between 3 and 6 5-minute cycles. But it's now you're actually listening to what the lacquer is all about, not the pressing from the lacquer.
Okay, so it's not practical. You have to start a meetup and have like record cleaning parties, I guess, and things like that.
Yeah. I fought with Mike Fremer. So his July issue, July 2019 of Stereophile, it says the 7 M's of the Kirmuss vinyl restoration system. Page 1, he says I'm an idiot. Basically, I'm stupid, eccentric. I am. Yeah, he's telling who I am. The guy has a rabbit in the booth, white coat, whatever. Page 2, we disagree.
Yeah, you are wearing a white coat, so yeah.
Yeah, white coat, that means a lot of things. Not a straitjacket, though. So then we start...
Not yet.
But long story short, after 3 pages of being bashed, the last page is the vindication. And again, we've had a contentious relationship because he's been told a lot of things by other people, and we bought a $100,000 microscope that you see in picture behind me and all behind you to prove to him of what
There is actually a picture of a microscope picture.
That's a $100,000 key science microscope. Sorry, there it is, right there, with me up there. And then you have renditions of records that were cleaned by $10,000 sonics, $5,000 sonics, vacuum systems, and then how we restore the record. So long story short, after a contentious relationship, because no one's taught anyone, and that's why we spend a lot of time with these shows to teach the science behind it, not the product. It's not about the money. The final statement on the final page is the best, where, holy crap, the top end, after being cleaned by a $5,000 system and restored now by us, holy crap, when I played it, the top end was fully restored, the backgrounds were super quiet, transients were sharpened, and the amount of inner detail, particularly the microdynamic shifts in Pete Townsend's rhythm guitar strums, and this is Tin Tommy, produced an almost new listening experience. That is not hype. This is coming from a very well-respected analog person that we fought, and we had boxing gloves on. Yes, the Kirmuss audio system, delivers what we promise, and it's reasonably priced, $880, and I enthusiastically recommend it. And that's after saying he's an eccentric, coat-toting, rabbit-toting, whoever.
Well, that's great. Yeah, the audiophile review. Yeah, that's what you need. So, what's the web page?
Sure, it's www.kirmussaudio, KIRMUSS audio.com, kirmussaudio.com. And what's interesting is this. My wife said at Thanksgiving 2018, I'll never sell more than 20 of these. We have sold 2,347 as of this morning.
You said she told you that at Thanksgiving?
She said, my son, he has a rabbit as a mascot, he'll never make it. And now we're the number one. We're actually making this product for you'll see some of the vacuum system manufacturers actually use our system now under their name.
Well, it's going to be a great Thanksgiving this year, I tell you right now.
Rabbits multiply, and who cares about the white coat now, right?
Well, that's great. So it's KIRMUSSAUDIO.com, right?
That's right. Thank you so much for your time, Tom. I appreciate it. And look at our website. We have a lot of science and documents. If you buy a cleaning agent, whatever, it's good to clean your record. We do restoration. But the issue is, don't damage your records by the concoctions that are being sold, and be very careful of what you read in the blogs, because many of these blogs people talk about Turgitol, which the Library of Congress talked about a long time ago. If you look at Turgitol 5-8-2 made by Dow Chemical, it's a solvent for paint. You don't use a solvent on a record. So a lot of things to take a look at.
Okay, now last quick thing. So are you going to have a Thanksgiving discount for your audience with a discount code or anything like that?
We have discounts at every audio show that we do. We have discounts for Audio Club members, and we give a return to those clubs. We give them also some encouragement so that they can then promote their activities and bring in younger crowd that are now buying records into their societies. So there's being a change.
Audio clubs like what?
Here, the San Francisco Audio Club. We have LA Audio Club, the Colorado Audio Club. We encourage, we encourage them by doing seminars, and at the same time, the club's members get rebates, and then the rebate saving goes back to the clubs. So then they can then market themselves to the new generation of record enthusiasts that are coming out. So vinyl is here to stay, and growing.
Yeah, that's great. So very interesting, very compelling, and I'm sold on it. So thank you very much.
Tom, thank you
again
so much for the opportunity, and keep those records spinning.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, bye-bye. Yours and the horns at the end. The horns are crazy. crazy, though. I mean, they're just huge. But tell me who you are,
Okay.
what the gear is, and like kind of what makes it special, and what kind of, and then a little bit about yourself, maybe.
Well, my name's Doug White. I'm from The Voice That Is. We're a boutique high-end dealer outside of the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. My business is relatively simple. My goals are to try and make sure that I'm delivering a full and honest system where music is a priority. I deal with ultimate brands from all across the world, but primarily in Germany. And my premium brand, the one brand that everybody knows me for, is Tidal speakers. All right, I'm pretty much their premium dealer in the United States. I've been working with the company for about 7 years, and I'm very happy to be at the California Audio Show and bring in the Tidal Contriva speakers here. The speakers in the room are the Contriva G2. It has now we've just gotten rid of the G2 nomenclature because it's kind of like the Porsche. Porsche is a Porsche is a Porsche. It doesn't matter what year it is. They've pretty much gone to that. So we're going to drop the G2, and it's going to be from now on just Contriva. That is just above their entry into their model. So there's the piano, which has been in their line since they started for 20 years. Tidal's been building ultimate products for 20 years. So he goes from the piano to the Contriva, from the Contriva to the Agoria, from the Agoria to the Sunray. That completes the classic line, and then they go into the Diamond series, which is the Acura and the La Saluda. So their products range on those 6 models from $40,000 to $500,000. 100% hand-built in Germany. The finest finish in the industry. Other manufacturers that come up and ask how in the world they do it, it's just amazing. It's like a mirror in what it does. And what really makes Tidal special, besides the fact that it's purely linear, excuse me, I haven't had any lunch today, purely linear in its manner of reproducing music, is the fact that it is 100% handmade. Those are all custom drivers, while they're manufactured to Tidal specifications by Accuton, who makes a lot of drivers for a lot of other manufacturers. Those drivers are not off the shelf. Each driver in that speaker is custom, all through the entire line. Every Tidal speaker uses a Diamond tweeter, and when you get up to the Diamond series in the line with the Acura and the La Saluda, there's a 5-inch Diamond midwoofer that plays from around 160 hertz to 6,000 hertz, that one speaker. Make about 24 a year of that one particular driver, and it's only available to Tidal because they helped design it.
Let me stop you there for a second, because you get up into the $100,000 speaker range, and even the high-end speaker manufacturers are saying it's just too nuts. But I will say, from my experience, that it sounds way better than the Steinway makes their own speakers, and they sound better than the Steinway speakers. I don't know. I mean, the Steinway speakers were disappointing actually for like what they were. I mean, but your speakers are great sounding. What is the range that you're of speaker, as far as, because you get in this crazy stellar price range, you have and they start expensive. Is there a particular speaker that you think is a great value and a great representation of what you do as a company? Is there one model?
I would say that the piano is the favorite. It's a 2.5-way. The black lacquer is standard. The veneers are optional. And that 2.5-way speaker, which is a little smaller than what you're seeing there in the Contriva, produces a wonderful amount of music, and it fits in rooms. And technically, it should really be in that room. This was actually a smaller room than we were supposed to be in. 13 by 19 size room. The piano's perfect, but it'll play in a 30 by 30, 30 by 34, easy. I've done it. Okay. So that speaker is where a lot of people find Tidal, because it's $40,000 in black. Then they go from there when they either get that promotion or have that bonus, or some mad money comes into the world. They sell the boat, okay? They have room now to actually improve upon their system.
They sell the yacht.
They sell the yacht. And there's a story. I can tell you a story about the yacht, too. And so they'll trade in their pianos and go up to the Contriva. And what I have found is that people start with, when they find Tidal, they stay in the brand. So you rarely see a used pair of Tidal speakers anywhere. It's rare. And when you see them, if you're into it, you jump on them because they're not going to be there long. That's what's real. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people look at the price of these products and they immediately go, it's too expensive. But what they really don't see, besides the fact that it's a pretty face, what they're really not seeing is what's inside. It's like looking at a Patek or an A. Lange & Söhne watch. There's a beautiful exterior and design. You put it on, you know it's handmade. But the details and the finishing that is going on inside contributes to the performance as a whole. And a lot of people don't get to see that in a Tidal product until they actually pay attention and start to delve deeper into what the product is all about. The bracing, the cabinet material that they've developed for that speaker, the custom binding posts that are not available for somebody that uses pure silver, the construction of the crossover, the design of the crossover, the fact that they're very linear. Frankly, Tidal's goals as a company is to deliver a pure glass of water, whether it's their speakers or their electronics. A lot of people don't know they make electronics to the same standards. Pure glass of water. I mean, if we make a glass of tea, iced tea, we don't start with milk. We start with pure water, hopefully really nice, like maybe Fiji water, right? So we have this pure glass of water, and then we add whatever flavor tea we like, and we may add sugar, maybe not, lemon, maybe not, or mint, maybe not. So that's their philosophy, to deliver a pure glass of water. And from there, you can flavor your system with the cartridge, with cables, with your source material. That's how you would develop the sound to your liking. I mean, frankly, when we listen to music, the goal is to recreate the performance as presented to the producer during the recording processes, right?
That's what, actually, I asked her a similar question. I said, can you get to a point where you're hearing more than the mastering engineer is hearing? And is that a good thing or not? And, but some speakers, they don't go crazy with some type of illusion. And that's what I like about your speaker is you still hear the performance as it is as a live performance. Yeah, so, yeah.
Well, if you listen to Ella Fitzgerald, she's not a 12-foot woman.
Right. Okay. And I must say, with your descriptions and everything on it, you might not have sold me on the $100,000 speaker, but you did sell me on some $2 Fiji water. I mean, now, okay, one more quick question. Since you make the electronics and you make the speaker, there is a push in the lower end of, like the computer audio world of integrating making powered speakers. Is there anything to that?
There's a lot to that. There's reasons why you would want to do that. A lot of times manufacturers approach that or the consumer is interested in that simply because of the fact that they want to minimize their system, if you will. They don't want to have the multiple boxes and, it doesn't fit their lifestyle, it doesn't fit their environment.
Well, there's a signal path too.
Well, I was going to get to that. It really, there's also the thought processes of minimizing how much the signal is going through. And literally, the amplification is designed for that speaker to perform a specific task. And that's really the real benefit of it all. And there are a lot of companies that are doing wonderful things with that. It is something that's on the drawing board with Tidal. But Tidal's customers are really still looking for ultimate and particulars and separates. But they're forward looking, and the things that they do, they build for a lifetime. So when they come up with that product, it's going to be just like everything else in their line. They bring it out, people buy it, they're done. They're not looking to get rid of it because it's already ultimate. Speaking of ultimate, and we joked about selling their yacht, Tidal has a customer that had a home system, and he wanted Tidal speakers on his yacht. Well, if you go to their site, you will see where they have installed Agorias and custom wall-mounted speakers for this customer for his yacht. You also will look, if you go through there, you'll see there was a gentleman that had a Riva boat. You've seen Riva boats in the old movies and the wooden boats and everything. Well, he had one, and he wanted a pair of speakers to look like that. So they built him a pair. And I can share that photo with you. Obviously, I can't do it in a mic, but I can share that photo with you. This is the kind of product that they make. When you look at that Tidal badge on the front of that speaker, that's not a stick-on, label. That badge, I call it an ingot because it's actually inset into the speaker 3 millimeters. That's real wood veneer. Every wood veneer product that they produce is a natural living product with its own signature.
What kind of wood is it?
That particular pair that's in there is ebony macassar. They have a wonderful rosewood, which is actually shown on the front of this.
Rosewood from America?
I'm not really sure where they're sourcing that, but it's rosewood. It's probably some path through Germany. They have a mahogany. That's amazing. If you had a particular finish that you wanted, they will source it for you because it's real wood. So they can give you pretty much whatever you want.
Well, yeah, it's a nice piece of furniture as well. It looks nice. Excuse me, it looks nice. It's a beautiful looking piece of furniture, but for some people, I mean, it has a certain look to it. You also have like a piano black and things like that.
Yes, the piano black is simply amazing. I delivered a pair of Agorias to Washington, D.C. And while I was unwrapping them, my wife took her iPhone and she took a picture of it. And when I looked at that picture later, you can see the reflection of the back of his house. I mean, the driveway. Okay, so just to paint this whole picture for you, he lived in the second floor. The customer had a second floor. They were going to be placed right in front of a patio window. Outside of the patio window was the patio, second floor, parking area behind the house, driveway, and then you see the garage for the house on the other street behind him. In this photograph, okay, this image taken with an iPhone, you can see an orange cone in the street, on the other street, and the reflection from the speaker through the glass, past the patio, past the driveway, past the garage to the other street. You can see that cone. You can count the bricks. When you look at it, it looks like you're looking in a mirror, but you're actually looking at this hand-polished finish of the Tidal panel lacquer finish. No one else in the industry does that. No one.
Yeah, the Steinway has a piano finish, but it doesn't blow you away.
It doesn't blow you away. Here, you know what? I'm going to try and.
What's the price of the piano?
The piano is $40,000 in black and $42,900 in a veneer. Your choice.
And do you have any trouble trademarking with the Tidal name?
Oh man, that's a sore subject for me. So these shows cost me on average $8,000 to $10,000 to do for 30 hours of exposure to the end user. I'm sitting here with Tidal speakers and Tidal electronics and Tidal cables that are hand-polished pure hollow core silver. And I have 10, 12 people in the room. And I'll ask the people, I'll say, thank you very much for your time and coming in my room. Got a quick question. How many of you are here for Tidal hi-fi streaming? And 6 people raise their hand. And I'm going like, you guys are in the wrong room. This is Tidal Audio, Tidal, the speaker and electronics manufacturer that is 20 years old, not the streaming company that is 4 to 5 years old. So when they came to the country, they took that name, they created a lot of confusion in the marketplace, and fortunately for us, the press has gone the extra mile and they make it known that yes, Tidal Audio, not to be confused with the hi-fi streaming company.
Well, isn't there a trademark on it?
Well, not in the United States. It was one of those things that it was an oversight. And when they were growing as a company, and they were everywhere else in the world, they did that, but not.
So you are the real Tidal. The real Tidal, is that on the...
20 years, building ultimate products, the best in the world.
You have to have that on your Instagram and Twitter account, the real Tidal.
Yeah, we really do. 20 years building ultimate products. I'm very proud to be their premier dealer. I really am.
Well, that just happens. Yeah, I'm looking at the picture now that you took, and it looks like it doesn't even look like a black finish. It looks like a mirror. I mean, it literally looks like a mirror. That's amazing.
Every Tidal speaker has a diamond tweeter. In this particular case, those 3 speakers you see in the front are the same drivers that are used in their entry level piano. So while that's their entry into the line, it's not compromised. Those same drivers are in the piano, then those same 2 of those drivers are in the Contriva, and then the same 3 drivers are in the Agoria, and the same 3 drivers are in their $160,000 Sunray. So you're not getting a compromised product, you're just getting a smaller scale. And that's the reason why when people buy Tidal products, you don't get rid of it, because it's already referenced the moment you buy it, and they hold their value. So that's something, again, you really look at the fact that Tidal, you look at the price and you say it's expensive. But when you start to really look at the inside, the construction, the fact that it's a bespoke product, that's hand-polished steel and not aluminum, that it is a custom compound cabinet, that the drivers are 100% custom, that there's silver throughout, what the price of silver is on the open market. You start to really look at that, you go, well, maybe it's not so expensive. You don't.
Oh, compared to a car or a yacht or a spaceship?
Well, we all have to aspire to something. The reality is that when you buy that, you're pretty much done unless you want more and then you're upgrading. And frankly, I'm proud to represent the brand because it's real. It's real value instead of inflated price.
Well, there was a thing, one more thing, and I'll let you go because then you haven't eaten. But okay. But the thing is, back in the late '80s, early '90s, I worked in this little hi-fi shop, which got me into it, and some of our customers were, well, actually, very few of our customers were like wealthy millionaire types. Actually, there was just 1 or 2, but we had a lot of customers who were just very successful, engineers and stuff, and they put a lot of their money in budget, and instead of buying a couple of fancy cars or something like this, they bought a really fancy audio system. Now, that was a long time ago. Is this still the kind of customer that you get?
Very much so. My customers are music lovers that have been into the hobby for a long time, and they have grown their systems, and now they're at a point in their lives where they have worked to live instead of living to work, and they want to actually start to enjoy the fact that they've had some successes or their children have moved on and they have gone through their various iterations of upgrades, and they want to get to their final system because it's part of their lives. They come home and they want to sit down with a beer, with a nice cab, and unwind for an hour or 2 or 4. They do it with Tidal speakers because it's emotionally involving. But that person, to me, my customers are, yes, engineers. I know I'm saying they're technically minded people. A lot of them have played musical instruments, they played music. Lawyers, doctors, business owners, people who appreciate the finer things, and they have been through the gamut and the merry-go-round of buying something because they read about this and they find it's not true, and they buy that because they find that's not true, and they're coming to Tidal because they want to get off that merry-go-round, and they finally hear it, and they're hearing things in the music that they know, that they may know the work, but they've never heard it before because the product is out of the way. And once you have that experience, you start to relive the equipment you already have. If you just buy speakers and you still have tube gear, tube electronics, or something, you start to relive that experience because you're hearing it for the first time. Or if you get the Tidal electronics and you start to realize that it's resolving at a level and you don't have to listen at high levels because it's resolving information at such a low level that you can get involved in the music without turning it up.
Right. I think one of the tricks also for those types of people is that sometimes they get involved in it with the gear. And I've noticed that they get too involved with the gear and they lose track of the music, and then they get frustrated at some point in their life and they just dump it all and they get rid of it. Right. So I think the trick in getting into that is trying to keep your self balanced so that you know why you're getting into it, and if you're getting into it for the music, not to lose the music, to come up to a certain point, like maybe the piano, and say, yeah, now I'm just going to start listening to the music.
The music, exactly. A little background about me: I was a musician. I was an art major. Okay, I get my music out through my friends in the industry. I get my art out with a little photography. But I apply those two, those two things with the fact that I am a technician. I'm into service and quality, and I've been through manufacturing and whatnot, so build quality is important. And when I choose a product, it has to satisfy all those points for me. I mean, there are a lot of great products out here. A lot of them are really attractive, and they don't sound great, or they're attractive and they sound great, but they're not built well, or they're built great and they don't sound like anything. Specs aren't everything. There's a lot of products that spec well don't sound great, okay, and vice versa. So when I choose a product, it has to solve all of that for me. I have to really appreciate the way it looks. Obviously, music is first. I have to appreciate the way it's looking. I really am paying attention to reliability and how it's built, because that's really important to me. I am functioning at an ultimate level. So when I deliver a product to my customer, I want them to be satisfied, and I want it to work. More importantly, it's a relationship between them and myself, just like it's a relationship between myself and the manufacturers. So I don't like to work with manufacturers who have no interest in anything other than how much I've sold. Okay, I don't like to work with manufacturers who aren't going to service me. Okay, because if they're not going to service me, they're not going to service my customer, and that's a problem. If I pick up the phone, if my customer picks up the phone and calls me because something happened, I'm answering, and I'm solving it, because they're paying for that service, and service really has been lacking anymore. I mean, frankly, when someone last week said to me that half-ass has become the new normal, that really pains me, because I'm not functioning with products like that. I'm fortunate to have musics like that lady there, okay, and people in the industry like Cook.
Which was who?
Gemma Mia.
Yeah, we talked to earlier.
Yeah, and Blue Coast Records with Cookie, who's been a producer, or working with Brian Zoner, or if you go into any recording studio like Fantasy, which I'm not sure if they're still functioning as a recording area, and you look in there and you see Bricasti reverb units everywhere.
Yeah, I was talking earlier to the guy with the tape machines. You see that? It's amazing.
It's amazing stuff. So, it's service, it's the whole deal. I love this. And I love to work with people who are serious about it. I really do. I can sense it when they pick up the phone and they're thanking me for my time, as opposed to picking up the phone and saying, how much is? I can tell immediately where that's going, because they're really just, the hobby is changing. And when I'm talking to people that are coming to me and they're asking me about music, and they're telling me their trials and tribulations, and they want someone to work with them, and they're sincere about that, and they're not using me to go off and buy it somewhere used, I love working with that customer, because that's the satisfaction of it all. I mean, if you are really, really into service, and you're really into creating things, and you find someone who is into it like you are, it's nothing more satisfying than helping them build a system that is musically satisfying for them as it is for you.
Well, that sounds fantastic. It's so much so I'm going to leave it and end the whole episode right there. Okay. You've got a great voice. It's very clear, and you're very passionate about it. So thank you very much, Doug White. And is there a website that we can go to find you?
Go to www.thevoicethatis.com. The Voice That Is, Johnny Hartman's album. Yeah, that's he's my hero. So remember, music is the most important language we have.
Thank you very much. That's excellent and awesome. Thank you.
brain. Yeah, your smile drove me insane. It was then that we got lost in a dream. But when we woke, we found some distance between. Yeah, 'cause you keep running, you keep running away. I'm ready to fall and I am ready to take what I can and keep running away. It was raining when you told me to leave. You were complaining I was out of your league. The night it was draining, I was feeling fatigue. So I nodded off to sleep. It was then I saw the light from the sun. And when I woke up, I knew the magic was gone. All 'cause you keep running away. I'm ready to fall and I am ready to take what I can and keep running away. I'm ready to fall and I am ready to take what I can and keep running away. Can we live this moment all over again? I know we're not lovers, but we could pretend. We could sail across the world in the sheets of your bed. Oh, yeah. Can we live this moment all over again? I know we're not lovers, but we could pretend. We could sail across the world in the sheets of your bed. Whoa, if we just pretend. Can we live this moment all over again? I know we're not lovers, but we can pretend. We can sail across the world in the sheets of your bed. Oh, yeah. Can we live this moment all over again? I know we're not lovers, but we can pretend. We can sail across the world in the sheets of your bed. Oh, yeah. Can we live this moment all over again? I know we're not lovers, but we can pretend. We can sail across the world in the sheets of your bed.
Be a patron at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/UnCommonCore. And if you would like to see Tom and Q cross the country in a van, you can find 10-minute videos of the trip at www.goingyonder.com. GOINYONDER.com. Our Instagram is Instagram/UnCommonCore podcast. All this and more, including links, pictures, and personal essays, can be found on our webpage at www.uccpodcast.com or uncommoncorepodcast.com. I'm Sato Go Smith. Thanks for listening.